Anthony dated Lena in university. She was one heck of a crazy chick who was so good at lying and deceit that she had him convinced that they were soulmates. It all started innocently enough. He met her during university, and they hit it off instantly. They ended up dating and eventually moved in together. Life seemed to be falling into place, but he noticed something odd. Lena always had her phone on silent or would ignore calls from someone named Jennifer. It seemed weird, and it began to gnaw at him over time. One day, fueled by his growing suspicions, Anthony wrote down the number and called it. A guy answered the call, and it turned out that Jennifer was Lena's other boyfriend, someone she had never broken up with before coming to university. Neither of them had a clue about the other's existence. Still, after talking for a bit, he actually thanked Anthony for letting him know. He said that he'd be ending things with her immediately. Anthony decided to end things with her after that too. But that wasn't the end of it. Before he broke up with her, Anthony went through her phone while she was sleeping, and he found out things were much worse than he could have expected. As he pieced things together, he discovered Lena had been leading a double life. She was working as a stripper on the side, the kind where the company sends the girls to the client, and had been involved with multiple guys behind his back. She bragged to her best friend about sleeping with a client when she was sent to perform for a Bucks night, and another time with some frat guys when she went to strip at a college party. Apparently, they had all taken turns with her. The worst thing is that this all happened just a week before Anthony's birthday, a birthday for which he had bought them cruise tickets as a surprise vacation for the two of them. She came on the cruise with him, and he had no clue she had an entire secret, separate life outside their relationship. But the lies didn't just stop there. The best friend she was bragging to about her sexual exploits, well, it turns out they were a lot more than just friends. Even when Anthony and Lena were still together, her relationship with her BFF seemed so intense that even Anthony noticed something was up. He even spoke to her about it at the time. She laughed off his concerns and called him crazy for even suggesting it. However, as he was going through her texts, he found photos and videos confirming she had been screwing her best friend too. He was super conflicted at the time. The videos were kinda hot, but it was still cheating, and that absolutely tore him up inside. When he broke up with her, Anthony confronted her about all the evidence he had found. She came up with excuses for everything. She told him that the client and frat party didn't actually happen, that she was only making up stories to turn on her best friend. And speaking of her best friend, she admitted that they often experimented sexually with each other, and it didn't count as cheating because it was with a girl. Anthony flipped out and told Lena that cheating was cheating. As far as he was concerned, if you're having sex with someone who isn't your partner, then it was considered cheating. It didn't matter anyway. They were done. When he kicked her out, her mother actually contacted him. She told him that sometimes you have to accept things, and Anthony owed her an apology for breaking up with her daughter. It was weird. After the breakup, Lena got her own place, and for some reason she convinced him to help her move some furniture a week after she moved in. When they were shifting a dresser into her bedroom, he saw an open condom wrapper in her bed. Lena told him she had slept with her neighbor on the first day she moved in. She seemed so proud of herself too. Anthony was disgusted. And then there was money. She borrowed a significant amount of money from him during their relationship, which she never bothered to repay. It was as if she saw him as an endless source of financial support, with no intention of ever giving it back. He couldn't be bothered chasing it up, and he let it go. Water under the bridge. He was just glad to get her out of his life. Years passed and life moved on. Anthony thought he had closed that chapter for good. But then, out of the blue, Lena reached out to him. She had moved after her new boyfriend had abused her and caused her eviction. She was now hanging out with questionable characters and had gotten herself involved with drugs and dangerous situations. She called him at 4 a.m., claiming that she had to hide drugs in her snatch because the guys she was with got pulled over by the cops. She begged him to come and get her, but he advised her to call a cab instead. Her life seemed to be spiraling out of control, and he didn't want to get sucked into it. Once again, he thought that was the end of it. A week later, he got sucked into it. She wanted him to meet her grandfather, who still remembered Anthony as Lena's boyfriend. She guilted him into visiting the old man a few days later. When he met with her, it was evident that Lena was on drugs. She told him how she was getting free pills from the same guys she'd been hanging around because they wanted to show their appreciation for when she hid the drugs for them. Anthony told her to cut ties with them. Nothing is ever for free, especially with these kinds of people. She brushed him off and swore that she had everything under control. A few days later, he got another call from her. She was screaming, crying, begging him to come get her. Apparently, she kept hanging out with the same dudes and they drugged her, took turns with her, and then left her. She said she passed out and woke up naked. He urged her to call the police, but she insisted he come and get her out of there. He went and got her, and on the highway she flipped out and started punching his windows and screaming at the top of her lungs. He dropped her off at her mom's house and got the hell out of there. Anthony realized there was no point in keeping any contact with Lena. He blocked her number and removed her from his social media. That was the last time he heard from her. Later, he found out through a friend that Lena had eventually returned to her abusive ex-boyfriend and gotten pregnant. The boyfriend took off to NYC before she had the kid, so Lena moved to NYC too, hoping to force him to take responsibility for her and their child, even though he had another baby mama to deal with. Anthony was glad his train wreck of an ex-girlfriend was finally out of his life for good. Thank you for investing your time in today's video. If this content resonated with you and you're eager to explore more stories of infidelity, consider subscribing, hitting the like button, and turning on notifications. I appreciate every one of you, so let's continue this journey. Until next time, take care.